Good afternoon, saints and disciples of Yeshua. Good afternoon, those that follow the way. For the people that know me, greetings and shalom. For the people that don't know me, and this might be their first viewing of me through different things that will be passed or shared, my name is Stephen Branham, and I'm here to preach to you a message of discipleship. As those that know me know, I always preach the gospel and I always preach discipleship. There is two streams in this thing. One is to grow the saints and one is to bring saints into the fold. But if you do not have the Ruach HaKodesh, it will be hard for you to process discipleship. If you do not have the knowledge and the grace to understand what I'm about to say, discipleship will not come to you. For what I will say will sound foolish to you because you are trapped in the philosophy of the world. You're trapped in the distractions and the deceptions of the world. You're trapped in foolishness. Now, for the saints, this is not your lot. Saints are called to do better because they know better. Saints are called to have a hope because of the faith that was given them. Saints are called to have a defense of their hope in season and out of season because of what was given them. Folks, this coronavirus as a saint, you have no concern about where this thing came from. Who cares? Again, I'm going to break that down to you for a little bit more in depth in a second. It is not your concern. It is your concern to have some wisdom. It is for your concern to listen to your elders in the faith, to how to defend against it. But where it comes from, what conspiracy, whether it was the government or whether it was nature, it does not matter. 5G, all this internet and cellular, it does not matter. For all you saints who are getting caught up in end times conspiracy theories, in end times revealing of revelation prophecy is what you people want to delve into, it has nothing to do with your walk as a saint. I'm getting pretty tired of seeing the saints continuously spread information about coronavirus being built by the government. 5G is going to kill us. It is a mass extinction. One global currency. All this stuff that has nothing to do with your walk as a saint. These things are going to happen. And there is nothing you can do, like I said in the title, about your wokeness. There is nothing your wokeness is going to do to prevent it, to stop it, to alert the world, to stop what the government is doing. None of it has anything to do with the saint and a saint's plight. Shalom, brother, shalom. None of it has, shalom, brother Joshua, as I'm seeing. None of it has anything to do with what you're supposed to do as a saint and members of the flock. Where does our help come from? In whom is our trust and faith to be given to? In whom is our focus to be pointed on? So you need to listen about what I'm going to talk about, all these different conspiracy theories that saints want to put out there. It doesn't matter. Just like that the Father, just like Yeshua appoints kings and appoints them and takes them down, so as is war, so as is famine, and so as is pandemics. These things are going to happen. These things have been prophesied about. These things are going to take place no matter what prayer you do, no matter how much fasting you do, no matter how much time you spend declaring to people that they need to wake up and be alert and to prevent these things and stand up and fight. You are not going to prevent them. Your prayer is not going to prevent them, nor is it going to stop them. What it can do, as we know that Agov prophesied 2 times very specifically in Scripture, in Acts 11 and I believe in Acts 20, one time about the famine that was coming and also about the prophecy of Shaul getting tied up and delivered over to the Gentiles. Did the prophecies still happen? Yes. Were they going to be prevented by prayer or alertment? No. The hardship, as I preached to you last night, the saints will go through the hardships, will go through worldly tribulations. Folks, the earth is, the world's going to kill us. You're absolutely right. There will come a time that the world is going to kill you. There's going to come a time that you're going to give up your physical manifestation of what you were walking in. This worldly tent that you have, this worldly body that you've been given will die. You were born to die physically that you might live spiritually. You are going to graduate into your spiritual manifestation. You are going to graduate into your eternal life. You are not going to live forever on this planet in this earthly tent. It is not going to happen. There will be some that will be here on the return of Yeshua. There will some that will be alive. The scripture is very clear that some will be risen and some will be alive. But for the most part, saints are going to die. Whether it is by the hands of the government, whether it be by the hands of conspiracy, whether it be by the hands of famine, plague, disease, or war, it is going to happen, and you are not going to stop it. It is part of His will. It is part of His plan. It is part of the things that are going to happen, that are going to unfold, and there's nothing you can do about it but have trust. And shalom. Shalom. Shalom, David and Koyola. It is going to happen. So what is your duty? I told you earlier, your duty is to be built up in the body of Messiah. Your duty is to grow in the things of Him. Your duty is to become into the mature saint that you're supposed to be. Is it to be worrying and spreading possible philosophy and theories about conspiracy theories? No, that's not what you're put on this earth to do. You're put on this earth to minister to the flock. Now we have an example. What do I mean ministering to the flock? We have an example of what happened when Agov prophesied about the famine that was coming. How did they minister to the flock? It said right then in Antioch that they begin gathering things. They begin gathering monetary help. They begin gathering things to help the body, that it might be given to the brothers in Yehuda. It might be given to them and given to the elders in care of Barnabas and care of Shaul, to be given to the brothers in Jerusalem. This is ministering. Our job, Shalom, Brother Rousseau, our job is to minister in view of tragedies. Our job is to minister and to take care of and have wisdom to help in a tragedy, to be the city on the hill. Brother Nigel, how many times has this faith and how many times has this glory and how many times has this spirit proved in the things that we talked about? There's been so much proof in our walk. And I get so particular. A guy emailed me this morning, sidetrack for a second. A guy emailed me this morning and said, brother. And I said, why are you calling me brother? I get very particular. I almost get offended. I almost get aggravated. I almost get a hitch in my spirit when someone calls me brother, when I know that they're not doing the will of the Father. There are very few people I call brother on this earth. There are very few people, and I know Nigel is one of them. I know he's one of my brothers. I know he does the will of the Father. I know that there is a common spirit of holiness and the desire to speak truth and love to the saints when it comes to Nigel. So many times he and I have finished each other's sentence not knowing. Folks know that we're close, but we've been preaching on the same day before and been in opposite rooms preparing and go to deliver the message, and we were going to speak on something that went 1 + 1 with him, or we spoke on things that were going to be the same thing, or we spoke on something that confirmed the other's message. So again, I'm not surprised at all, or am I shocked at all that there's many times that the topic that we're going to talk about is the same topic, and he might have more to say about it after. But folks, you need to understand something. These things are going to happen, and I get very aggravated with the saints that want to focus on conspiracy theories. That you know what? The first century church knew for a fact that the government wanted to kill them. No, let's get into this. There wasn't anything hidden. It was a fact. It was broadcast as public decree that the saints of Messiah, that the Messianic community were to be hunted, persecuted, and killed by the Yehudim and by the Roman Empire. It was going to happen. There was no stopping it. These things were going to take place. And there was no need for a conspiracy theory. It was point blank in their face. You're going to die. We're going to imprison you. It is going to be real hard for you to follow this thing called the way. But guess what they were to do? To again stay under the radar. They were again to sing the praises of the Father who took them out of darkness and brought them into the kingdom of the wondrous light. They were to continue to do the work of the ministry and build the brothers. They saw plague. Famine. They saw destruction that was coming, and they saw a government that wanted to kill them, but their job was still to minister to the brothers and sisters of the Messiah in different cities and different countries. That is our job. That is why we are a city on the hill. That is why we are light in darkness. We're not to be concerned with the conspiracy theories and what things are happening and what government is doing what, and this coronavirus was invented by the government to hurt the people. That is nothing to do what we're supposed to be focused on. Our job is to be focused on if there is a need for a brother or saint in Messiah somewhere, our job is to come together and minister to them. Our job is to maybe give them information and wisdom on how to prepare and take care of themselves. Our job may be to make sure they get fed or make sure they get some help. Our job is to help the saints, to help the flock, and to sing and to declare the praises of the one who saved us. That is what we are to do. Point blank, in times of distress, in times of uncertainty, in times that things are coming to try and steal your shalom. The wisdom, the shalom has been given to you. If you're a saint, you're supposed to have shalom. People on this island, matter of fact, have been upset with me because I dismiss this coronavirus thing, and they're like, well, you just don't care? No, I don't really care. I care for the people that it might affect. I care for the hardship that it could come on. I care for the ones that it will be hurting physically when these things will happen. But I don't care, nor am I going to be afraid of something that I can't control. My job is to have faith and trust in the one from whom my help comes from. My duty, which is impossible unless you've been given the grace, is to have trust in Yeshua. Can there be times of a momentarily frightening? Absolutely. There can be times when you get momentarily unnerved by an uncertainty. But He gives us the endurance. He gives us the strength. He gives us the power to keep on going, because it says we must endure. It's the ones who endure to the end. And only the ones that have been given the grace and the power can endure. My job is to exhort you. My job is to correct you from getting lost and getting sidetracked by all these distractions. If you don't think that one of the enemy's plans is to distract those that are of the kingdom, know that it is the case. And just by human nature, you can slow down and get into a sleep. I told people before, remember when Shaul gave the letter to wake up, you ones in slumber. That was to the church. That was to the ones who were already the disciples. That was to the ones who were already the followers. That wasn't to the lost. That was to the follower. That was to the church. He said, you wake up, get out of your slumber, be sober-minded, prepare for what is here, because that day is closer now than it ever was. Have some urgency about you. Have some seriousness about you. Have some grown man about you, or a grown person about you. You're not to be a child here and being tossed around from doctrines and tossed around from fear to this to fear to that and distractions of what the government's trying to do and whatever conspiracy theory and whatever 5G is going to try to bring radiation onto you. Who cares? These things are going to take place, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. There's no amount of preaching you can do to stop them. There is no amount of knowledge that you can spread to stop them. These things are going to happen by the will of Yahweh to bring the end of times for the return of His Son. It will happen. The great fall away will happen. The great apostasy, the great heresy, it will happen. Only the ones that are meant for salvation, only the ones that were chosen to be filled with the grace, only those will have the ability to focus on the kingdom of heaven. Only those. Folks, you might die on this physical plane. You might get sick on this physical plane. You might get injured on this physical plane. You might have horrible things done to you on this physical plane. It might happen. On this tent of your body might go through things that you never thought imaginable. It might happen. And if that is His will for you, you're not going to stop it. All you can do is pray that He will give you the endurance to walk through it. You are going to have to walk through a trial and tribulation. We're going to have to walk as the church and as the faithful church. We're going to have to walk through frustrations and famines and trials and tribulations. We're going to have to, because that is a promise. That is the prophecy. And again, like I said, as Agag prophesied, these things are going to happen. He told Shaul, you will be bound. This is what's going to happen to you. He told them that a famine was coming. So again, what was their response? I told you yesterday, the last 2 days I've preached, that there's only two, that the why of everything has been established. Why did the Father do all these things? Predestined, the history of the Hebrew, Islam, Buddhism, the stumbling block. Why did He do all these things? Was established in one thing: to declare the praises of the one who saved us. And then also I preached last night, what is your job? What is your ministry? What are you to do? And that is what? To grow up in the perfect standard that is Messiah. That you might be built to do the ministry of the kingdom. And we have a perfect example of Agag prophesying about a famine. And what happened? The church came together and they helped and they ministered to the other saints who were going to be hit hardest by the famine. That is our job as saints. That is our focus as saints. How do we mobilize and help each other? How do we mobilize and show love one to another? How do we, as individuals, declare the praises of the one who saved us from darkness and brought us to the kingdom of His marvelous light? That is our job individually. That is our job as a whole. Our job is not to be distracted. Our job is not to get tied up in world visions and the teachings of light workers and all of us come together where love and knowledge can clear and clean all things and bring world peace. That is not going to happen. That is a lie. It sounds good, but it will never happen, because Scripture says the opposite will happen. Scripture says when they're declaring peace, war will strike. When they're declaring everything's good, that everything will not be good. That is the promise and the prophecy of the Ruach HaKodesh. That is what was spoken by men, inspired and empowered, graced by the Ruach HaKodesh. That was the voice and the word of the Father who came through His servants, that it said when things don't look as they are. Again, we're to have faith, right? Will He save you from every calamity? No. And all the education you try to get to save yourself from the calamity will not help you. And all the talking about it will not stop you from walking through it. And all the good advice, if it is the will of the Father for you to walk through something, all the good advice in the world, they tried to advise Shaul. Again, they tried to advise Shaul, don't go to Jerusalem. You will be imprisoned. But what was the last part of their prayer? May the will of Yeshua be done. Don't go. You're going to be imprisoned. When they saw that they could not deter him, may the will of Yeshua be done. The will of the Father will happen. His plan will unfold. His plan is going to happen no matter what you try to do. But folks, I urge you and I beg you as saints, do not get distracted in all this worldly drama. Do not get distracted in taking up human philosophy. Do not get distracted in all this sharing of information of what the government is trying to do. It does not matter. All that matters is you have faith and trust in the one who saved you. All that matters is you obey your spiritual leaders who tell you to keep your eyes focused on the Messiah and His will for you. All that matters is you hear and do the word of the Lord. All that matters is you obey your instructions. All that matters is that you grow to the standard of the perfection that is Messiah. That's all that matters. All that matters is you minister to the brothers and sisters. All that matters is that you declare the praises of the one who saved you. That's all that matters. All that matters is you do the will of the Father in heaven. That is your only instruction. You obey His word. You obey the shepherds. I'm getting real frustrated with seeing all the posts about what the government's trying to do. The end of the world will come, and it's going to come when He decides it. Many will die, and they're going to continue to die until He comes. You will not turn away the rebuke of the Father on the nations or on the world. You will not stop. You will not stop the judgment that the Father will have upon the world. And His judgment will look harsh to some of you. Folks, there are two prophets that are prophesied about, that are spoken about in the scriptures, that will come, and it says when these people die. And then when they turn rivers to blood, they're going to bring all kinds of destruction. And you're going to be angry saying, "Oh, that's not the will of the Father. That's not love." And they're going to declare death and judgment on people. It will be their task from heaven to declare destruction. Physical and material destruction will be their task from heaven. They won't be preaching reconciliation. Woo-hoo! They won't be preaching everything is going to be all right. They won't be declaring, "Oh, it'll be okay." They're going to be declaring, "Die." And the world will come against them. And the scriptures say He will raise them up afterwards to show that He sent them. That's all we can say. Yahweh will be done. Folks, if we weren't meant to have these diseases and these radiations and these poisons that kill us, if it wasn't part of the overall plan, guess what wouldn't happen? But they may be for the overall plan. In the wisdom of the Father, He is allowing these things to come into fruition. He's allowing these things. From world wars to conquest of famines to pandemics, they have happened all throughout history. His wisdom is higher than ours. Sorry, there's a motorcycle passing. Again, saints, pay attention and keep your eyes up. I'm exhorting you now to continue in faith. Continue in trust. Continue your purpose. Yochanan 8:44, William, what are you implying to? Is that to me that I belong to the Father Hasatan, or is that to other people? Because I don't know who you're talking to. Oh, that is who they. There you go. That is who they are. Sometimes you have to give somebody a second to continue writing what they're going to write. And again, like I said, it could be who they are, and they're still going to exist. I mean, like I said, these things are going to happen. They're going to carry out their Father's plan. But it's funny, Yeshua doesn't free us from these trials and tribulations. He has given us the power to endure through them. He has given us the power to have shalom through them. But again, you must hear these things. You must grow in the knowledge and the unity of our Messiah. You must grow to the perfect standard that he was. Did he not have faith no matter what he was facing? Did he not stand in the trial no matter what he was facing? Did he not give over the judgment of the people to the one who is the perfect judge? Did he not just say, I have trust in the will of the Father? It's amazing, I've always tried to tell people about the obedience unto bloodshed whom Yeshua had, because all he had to do was say, enough is enough. It's why Hasatan tempted him with the devil. Hasatan was very crafty with him, that he knew that no angel could allow the Messiah to be harmed. But again, Hasatan didn't understand the depth of what he was saying. Yeshua obeyed because his duty was to reconcile us to the Father. He didn't get sidetracked off his mission. He said he spoke as he was instructed. He did as he was instructed. He spoke. And again, that is our standard. To walk in perfect perfection and maturity. To walk in the standard that is Messiah. That was what I preached on last night. That's what the scriptures were very clear, that we're to walk in the standard that is Messiah. That is obey until bloodshed. That is to do only as the Father would direct us. That is to grow into the standard and the perfect maturation that Messiah was, because he would be the firstborn brother to many. He obeyed unto bloodshed, which meant his duty was to come here to shed his blood. All he had to do was snap his fingers and said, I had enough of these people. I had enough of this disrespect. I had enough of these sorry humans that I came here to die. I had enough. All he had to do was say, I had enough. But he obeyed unto the shedding of his own blood. He obeyed in perfection. So I'm telling you now to obey. Don't get caught up in civilian affairs. Don't get caught up in the philosophy of the world. Don't get caught up in what seems right, of what seems like the will of God. Know what is the will. Keep your focus. Keep your blinders on. Pay attention to the kingdom of heaven. Pay attention to the Messiah. Hear the instructions of the word of the Lord. Hear and do the instructions of the word of the Lord. And the elders are telling you what to do. Have wisdom. Be prepared. Have food. Stay inside. But still, some of you might get caught up in the mix. Some of you might get caught up in the melee. Some of you might get hurt. It's not that you were disobedient. Your job is to do the ministry of the kingdom. And I'm repeating that in closing. In conclusion, so we can wrap that up. Your job is to stay focused and do the ministry of the kingdom to the perfect standard that is Messiah, and to declare the praises of the one who saved you. Period. That's why it all happens. That's why everything that's going to happen will happen, because it's His will and His plan, and that's our duty to do while we're waiting on His return. To live holy and righteous lives, to defend the saints, to help the saints, to love our brothers and sisters, to make sure that we minister to them in spite of what is happening around us, in spite of the insecurity and the uncertainty of the shifting sand of the world that we live on. We are supposed to be standing on the rock, the one who doesn't shift, the one who has no shadow, the one who doesn't change. That's the rock that we stand on. And because of that faith and because of that hope, we're supposed to be an inspiration to the lost that will be saved. We're supposed to be a beacon of light of hope for the ones that will be saved. But I'm seeing saints all worried and tangled up in drama and worldly rumors and what the government's doing and how they're poisoning us and how they're going to kill us. Folks, when you're meant to die, you're going to die. And if you're not meant to die in the Father's will, you're not going to die. Remember Shaul being struck by the serpent. It wasn't his time yet. He was struck by the serpent and nothing happened. Poison was in him. Toxin was in him. There was an attack upon his physical body, and it did not affect him. Shalom, shalom. If you get poisoned and it is not your time, you are not going to die. But if you get poisoned from the government and it is your time, well, it is your time and your mission has been complete. Many people have heard me say this 100 times over. If it is not your time, no demon can kill you. And if it is your time to go, no angel can save you. Focus on doing the ministry. Focus on building and loving one another. Focus on declaring the praises. Do these things. Be righteous. Be holy. Grow into the perfection. Grow into the standard that is Messiah. That is your instruction. That is what you are supposed to do. That's what you have been told what to do. It is very clear. Now will you obey? Shalom is ours. Peace that surpasses all understanding is ours. That is what's promised. And sometimes you need to hear it, to shake and to tear down the strongholds that are in your mind. Remember, the continuing preaching will continue to increase your faith. It'll increase your knowledge. It'll continue to tear down the strongholds, and it will continue to wash your minds in the Word. Yeshua's shalom on all of you. May the Father of peace be with you. But remember, as I've preached before, His peace is conditional. His shalom that He gives is conditional. That you obey what He told you to do. You see, when you stand in righteousness, shalom is mighty. You know when you've done something that wasn't completely obedient, and the peace just leaves you. There is no peace like being obedient to the kingdom of heaven. There's no peace like being obedient to the Ruach HaKodesh. There's no shalom like it. And all of you have tripped and stumbled before, and you've been disobedient for a second, and you feel the shalom, boom, gone. It wars against your soul, Kifa said. It wars against your soul. But there is no shalom like the shalom of obedience. There's no peace of mind like standing on righteousness. There's no more happy day than knowing that you are reconciled wholly and walking in steadfastness with the Father of heaven. Hear your teachers. Do what is right. Take the correction. I love you all. Shalom. And we will all talk again very, very soon. By the will of the Lord Yeshua. Yeshua saves. For the YouTube subscribers that will be watching this, please subscribe. We must continue preaching truth to the saints that we will get a chance to reach. Also, for any YouTube subscriber that might get to watch this in the future that don't know us, also click on to my friend Nigel London TV. Subscribe to his page as well too. Listen to the elders and the shepherds that were sent to preach to you the true gospel of Yeshua HaMashiach. We will all again talk very soon. Good day.